Welcome back to Restaurant to Another World. Anime Review episode number 11. This reviewing the 19th episode of the series, which basically covers these following two foods: Okonomiyaki and green tea shaved ice. Now, I should reveal something also a bit about some behind the scenes stuff going on with me right now when it comes to this series. For example, I've actually fully read book 4 now. I read that just recently. Today I just finished reading book 12 for Mashuku Tenshin Jobless Reincarnation, and I actually got started on a book. I have not read the series in like a year. Goblin Slayer. I recently got back into doing that. And I've also, as of today, gotten to the manga that adapts this particular series, where I am roughly 20 chapters in out of a not very long manga. No, it's only like 29 chapters. So, yeah, I should be able to get done pretty soon. This first segment, I did remember reading in the actual manga. Okiyame, it's basically a special meat stuff with little stuff on top. It looks like basically like a piece of steak with stuff on top. This particular portion comes from chapter 10 of book 1. The second set comes from book 5, chapter 89, which is toward the very end of basically book 5. Now, the first segment basically is two people. One is a samurai from the nation of the mountain nation. The other one is a diviner from the land of sea. And they just happen to come at the same time, just by sheer coincidence. They start arguing in the entranceway, and of course Anita tries to get them to calm down. But lucky enough, Kiro's there to say, "Sirs," and like, "Yes, please calm down." Of course, they happen to stay at the same table, just by sheer coincidence. And they both order Okiyame. In the case of Samurai, he orders his with pork and eggs. In the case of the diviner, he orders his with breaded flakes. I've never heard of this before. And seafood, which that's interesting. Put some shrimp on there. Like, that's not a bad idea. My dad's actually had shrimp on steak before. It actually is pretty good for him. I personally haven't had that. I've had steak before, and I've had shrimp before. Both really good, but not this combination. So, of course, she tells them where they might get an argument. Oh, they're perfectly fine. They're basically very close. They just argue a lot because they're close friends. So they try food, they find relations. Of course, they also reveal some basically some shop talk while they're talking, like that the land of mountains got their hired dwarf weaponeers, which I'm like, that's interesting. And mentions like, oh yeah, fine craftsmanship. My nephew.
Cake?
I'll be out soon, Oliver, okay? Smile, you're on candid camera. He's just turned 3 this week. Anyway, so having food. Apparently, they leave off screen. We do see Heidi. You see her briefly in the episode. Basically, you can kind of see it as basically said for a segment that we'll see next week, which is Cheesecake again, which I'm looking forward to this. It was discussing that one because I just finished reading book 4 recently, and that segment basically looks like it's from book 4. It's a pretty interesting segment. I like the fact that they include some shop talk for two characters introduced in this very episode. The second segment is basically all introduced the concept of shaved ice in the series. I've had shaved ice before, but not like this. Not with other stuff on top. I just basically have it sort of like a snow cone. That's basically what it's. Similar to a snow cone, except basically this is done without the cone. It's basically mixed with fruit. You have a blue and red flavor in here, and of course you have Anita eating the red flavor, and you also have Kiro eating the blue flavor. Then, of course, they get a brain freeze. Of course, you get a brain freeze when you eat something that cold. And then we have an elf comment. Yes, an elf. They do explain a little bit of his backstory in the episode, where apparently he has not interacted with anybody outside of his island in 200 years. Which I'm like, damn. And he says the reason why, because apparently there was an epidemic, so he's had to fly away. No, this is not a nod to the real life stuff going on. This was the book that this was made for came out 2 years ago. So you cannot blame the anime for picking this one. So That's not a change in the book. This actually happened. So, well, I haven't read book 5, but I'm sure that this is probably nothing unusual. So there's that. So he apparently thought about life, chaos, the god of chaos, and of course you must be a demon. Like, okay, and surprisingly, he's the first person to interact with her who does not chastise her for being a demon. And of course, it's like of course they think Kira is an elf, even though she's actually a dragon. And of course, he has shaved ice, and of course, and of course, before he leaves, he managed to eat 4 bowls of the stuff, which makes him full. And he takes himself home, and it looks like some sugar. And of course, apparently, he has never seen a lot of stuff before. And then he goes home to basically his island, which is golems. He does have medicinal herbs now, which of course he probably eats some food here and there, but never had a shaved ice before. He's trying to duplicate it, and that's it. It's pretty much a good episode per se. I would say the first story segment was actually pretty good because I liked hearing characters do shop talk, basically expanding upon the world of the fantasy world that these characters come from. Second story, just okay at best. I mean, I think it's interesting they brought in shaved ice in the series, at least something that I've had before, but not to the style they have like this. So yeah, next week is going to be roast beef and cheesecake again. That's the segment for next week. Would be 20th episode of the series. Now, there's probably going to be about 5 more episodes left to go because the first season was only 12 episodes, so I would not be surprised if season 2 is roughly 12 as well. Hopefully, we might get to see a season 3. Who knows? It depends upon how much material is there left to adapt. Because in the case of as this episode here, they did almost the entirety of book 1. I think there's still a lot left there of books. So they could probably do a few more, at least one more season of this, unless of course the writer managed to produce a new book. I'm probably going to read the 5th book soon, per se, but not at the moment. Probably will be happening to a little bit later on. Okay? So yeah, that's a particular review. I have one more video to do today. That'll be a review for the newest episode of Case Closed, which is an anime original episode, which not surprised about this because they probably need a break from the canon stuff for a bit because there probably isn't enough material for it right now. So, anime original stuff, from what I can tell, apparently after the next episode, the show is taking a week off and coming back 2 weeks after next week. Because Thanksgiving, obviously. Okay? But in this video, bye.